Welcome to the Alaska Report. I'm Senator Mark Begich. This show is designed to inform you about the issues, programs, and people important to Alaska. In this edition of the Alaska Report, I'm hosting the ROSE Urban Rural Exchange Program, which is part of the Alaska Humanities Forum. The program is one of the best ways for young Alaskans to get a unique understanding of Alaska's diversity by sharing what differences and similarities our rural and urban communities have. There are over 150 students who have participated in this program annually, and today we have the program's top cross-cultural ambassadors with us. I'd like to welcome to the Alaska Report Grace, Max, and Katie, and also joining us, these students today, is Laurie Evans-Dinneen, from the ROSE Rural Urban Exchange Program, who's the director of the program. Let me first start, if I can, with you, Laurie, to just tell us kind of what the program is about, and then I'm going to ask the students to kind of tell us where they're from and who they matched up to, and kind of what they experienced in the program. But why don't you tell us a little about the history of the program and why it's doing what it's doing?
Awesome. We are actually a federally funded program, and it's in its 11th year this year. And the mission of the ROSE Urban Rural Exchange is to create mutual understanding and respect between urban and rural Alaskans. And so when the program was designed, it originally was for individual students, and in 2004 it became a sister school exchange. So we pair urban and rural schools, and the idea is to sort of, we have developed a curriculum now, and it's called the Destinations, and it goes through a journey theme, if you will, because obviously the students are going on a journey. And the idea is to get them to understand their self and their own community so that they can be good hosts. And then as they're pairing up with their sister schools, they're looking at issues that are going on in their sister schools so that they can do areas for exploration. That they then, the teachers are working together and our staff sister school guides are helping to facilitate those discussions. And then when they go into their sister school communities, they then become ambassadors for their home community and do their explorations to learn what it's like living there. One of the nice things as a supplemental program outside of the education system is that they also are participating in education. So they go into the host family homes. So when they stay at each other's homes, the idea is to be in the home, live with the family, get a true understanding of the community. And then they go to school with the students for half a day, and then the second half of the day is spent doing their explorations and understanding. Which is
all still educational.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's free time, but not really a lot of free time.
Right, not really. The students by the end are very tired because they max out their days, which I'm sure you'll hear about. And so so as they're working their way through, they are for 7 days in each other's communities. And so as again, they host and then they visit. And so depending on how the teachers set up the exchange, it all happens within the school year. And you can see we're online now, and so you can see the posts that the students do. We have a little mini grant from Flip Camera that allows them to do videos of so they video like their own profile, things of their home community, and then as they're exploring. And it's nice now because if you're a host family, you can actually see the students who are coming to your community, the students who are going to be in your home. And then you can, as the general folks, the school participants, can see it online at the ROSE Urban Rural Exchange website, which is www.roseurbanruralexchange.org.
Excellent. We'll ask you to name that a little bit later too, again, so we can keep reminding people how they can find out about it. Let me first go to Grace. First off, I should say this is the urban group. In the next half, we'll have the rural group. So tell us what school you're from and also what school you got paired up with.
I am Grace. I am from Chugiak, Alaska. I go to Chugiak High, but during my exchange, I went to Mirror Lake Middle School. I got paired up with a school in Deering, Alaska, the Deering School. So
how did you select that, or did the program say, here's the schools, or what? How did that happen?
Well, I got the opportunity in 7th grade to go to 2 different schools. They were unfortunately canceled, but in 8th grade I got the opportunity to go. And they were selected for us, but we did like background information and we learned a little bit about the community before we went. But yeah,
so
they were selected for us.
you did that in your school program?
Yes, we spent about 3 months.
Learning about the area, what to prepare for.
Exactly.
Did you get to meet the host family prior to going?
No, we met them the day that we got to
so
our
it was like, here you are,
Yep.
welcome to the community, and oh, by the way, you'll be sleeping here.
Yep, let's do this, yep.
Oh, excellent. And Max, what school are you from, and who did you pair up with when you did your program?
I go to Service High School, and I paired up with Thorn Bay, Alaska, which is right on the Panhandle, kind of southeast. And
Did you know where that was before you got paired up? Did
no,
someone say,
I barely even knew there was a Southeast Alaska. really
because
threw
you've
me.
traveled actually in other, you're from a variety of other states you've traveled through, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a recent Alaskan,
A
and
recent,
this program was a great opportunity. I was just like craving all the knowledge about this like giant state, and this is a great opportunity to not only learn about where you're going, but about where you live and about all of Alaska throughout.
So how long were you there, did you spend there then in Thorn Bay?
I spent 5 days, which I think is standard.
Yeah.
And so went down there for 5 days. They came up here in Anchorage for 5 days.
Very good. And Katie, what school are you from, and where did you end up getting tagged into?
I go to Chugiak High School as well, and I got paired up with Kasigluk. That is outside of Bethel. It's just a small, tiny little village split up into 2 schools and sides because of a river. And I went to the side Akiuk, and just real small area.
How many students were in there, do you think?
Total, I think, was about 500 between both villages.
Both villages.
Both put together. Yeah, just real small. The side I was on had a high school and housing. That was it. The other side just had the stores and everything.
And you mentioned the stores. Was that an experience for you?
Yeah.
No more soda pop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was nothing. Like,
it's very expensive.
Extremely expensive. I found a bunch of bananas, which is extremely rare out there.
Yeah.
And I think it was almost like $15.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
A culture shock, wouldn't you say?
Yes, exactly.
So tell me, and maybe I'll go to Max, I'll move around a little bit here, but why did you want to be part of this program? What besides you want to learn about Alaska, as a new person, why were you interested? What drew you to the program?
Well, almost everything. I mean, it's an adventure, really. It's going somewhere new, meeting new people and everything, and it's also a challenge. So I thought I was up to that, and I was new in Alaska and just couldn't get enough. So I thought this would be a great way to really kind of jump in, and so I signed up, and it took me all over.
Very good.
Great.
Grace, when you got off the plane, and your family met you, or however, more than likely, knowing rural communities as I've traveled, it's not just a couple people that will meet you, it's a larger group.
Yeah, a lot of people came to.
It's a great cheer.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? First off, was it what you expected? Was it, what was something that, I don't want to say surprised you, but was kind of on your pre-education before going there? What was something that got you to say, wow, I wasn't expecting this?
Well, I didn't have my expectations really high for the trip. I kind of just wanted to go along with the flow.
Okay.
But we had our host family come and greet us at their airport, and we traveled together to the school. But it was just, they're so loving. Just the first time I met them, just so welcoming, and I just felt right at home. And it was just an awesome experience, just getting to meet them for the first time. And I just felt like, wow, everyone came to see us. And we had a potluck later on that night. The night that we came in to Deering, and everyone came from the community, and it was just awesome to get to share what we wanted to share, and they got to share what they wanted to share, and
very good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And Gay, for you, when you arrived, have you ever been to a village before?
I have not.
Okay, so that was all new.
Yes.
Okay, so what was your first impressions when you landed, and did you fly in a small plane, I'm assuming?
Yes,
right?
a tiny little bush plane, fit 6 people exactly.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
a big plane in the bush.
we were like crammed in there. Felt
Have
like
you
we were
ever
in
been in a small plane like that?
No.
Okay, so that was a new experience also.
Yes, it was awesome. It was funny because one of the girls was so scared she took some Dramamine and ended up passing out on the 12-minute flight. It was really funny, but no, that was my first time in a small plane. And when we landed, we passed a tiny little village and swung around and landed on this runway, not an airport, runway.
Right. Runway.
Yes.
Usually gravel.
Yeah,
right?
but it was during the winter, so it was iced over.
That's the way to land.
And that day they were actually having a funeral, so only 2 people came and picked us up from the airport. But we instantly got in a sled and was drugged by a snow machine to the school.
Absolutely.
Instantly. It was a good first, impression. Got to the school and everyone just welcomed. Mostly little kids came up to us and started jumping and who are you? And it was extremely nice.
So you stayed when you got there, you had a host family, and so you stayed in their home?
Yes.
And I know when I've stayed in homes in rural Alaska, sometimes it's a couch, sometimes it's a second bed in another room with several other people. What was your experience like?
Well, me and my partner that I stayed with, my house actually didn't have a teenage host exchange partner. It was just some elders in the native village. And what we did was we actually got our own room. We both got our own beds. But
wow, this was a
rare.
good deal. Yeah.
They actually kicked out their grandchildren, so we would have a room, which was funny. I felt bad, but they actually
wanted to host you.
Exactly. And I guess the woman Maggie Slim, who had was my host, she has done this in the past and really loved it, so she wants to continue doing that.
Let me ask you before I'm going to ask Laurie a couple questions on kind of what the future looks like for the program, but would you recommend this to other kids and students of your age or younger or older? Let me start with you and kind of move around.
For sure, I totally would. I think it's definitely, before this program, the Rose Urban Rural Exchange program, I was kind of like, other communities in Alaska, I don't really care for them very much. But when I got to experience that, I was like, they're important. They're a part of us. We're a part of them. We're all part of each other.
So
we're
it's
a whole
high
big
value.
community. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What you're thinking? Would you?
I think most definitely. When I first went into the program, I was like, oh, this could be good for my future. It'll be fun, a nice little adventure, but I never thought I would go places with it. I never thought that I would be the top ambassador coming to DC with these people. It's wonderful. It's taught me so much and definitely broadened my horizon on things. Like, I am so much more open. I learned so much, and it's probably one of the best things I've done. It's a second ambassador trip, and I think it was good.
Very good. Max?
Well, a lot of the people, I was speaking to them, and they say, oh, this is the best thing ever, and the teachers are all saying, you're going to remember this for the rest of your life, and a lot of teachers say this. You're like, okay, but going there was incredible. I mean, not only did you see a new way of life, but you kind of learned a new way of life, a new way of looking at things, and how I view, my home in Alaska.
Very good. Laurie, we have just a minute or so, but give the website one more time so people know that.
Sure. It's Rose Urban Rural Exchange, so it's www.roseurbanruralexchange.org. It's all spelled out.
They can find out a lot about it, students as well as parents and other adults of the success of it.
Absolutely.
And obviously it's gone on for 11 years, you said. And the future depends on federal funding, right?
Federal funding, as
I just wanted to put that in
sweat
there.
it out every now and then.
There we go. But it's a great program. I mean, I think the people who are part of it recognize it. Alaska Humanities Forum recognizes it. Let me say again to all of you that are here from the urban side, in a few minutes we'll have the rural side, but I want to thank each of our guests and participating today and for your experience. And also thank you for really recommending it to other young people. There's no question in my mind when I heard about the original setup of the program that'd be a great program. So thank you for being great ambassadors. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And to all our viewers, we'll be right back. But again, I want to thank our special guests here again, Grace, Max, Katie, and Laurie, for doing such a great job. As I told them when they sat down here, it's like a living room. We just have a conversation. So thank you all for watching. We'll be right back.
Well, I was 10 when I first got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, nobody cared. I was on drugs, and my mom didn't really care because she was on drugs. She was never home. I was in 8th grade for like 3 years. I was heading nowhere. I just thought the only way I can make something out of my life is that if I get an education, I don't want to be a loser, some loser getting high all the time. I want to make something out of it.
Well, I used to think that the baby just comes out from the mom because she ate a lot.
My dad used to tell me that I came from a cabbage patch.
They tell me what not to do, and they know I'm probably going to do it.
My parents always stutter.
My dad's kind of scared about that.
My mom hasn't really talked to me.
He thinks that all,
I could talk. It's my dad. He's too embarrassed about talking about it, about sex.
Welcome back to the Alaska Report. I'm Senator Mark Begich. Today we are talking with young Alaskans who participate in the Rose Urban Rural Exchange program. It's a program that works to expose students to the similarities and differences between rural and urban cultures in Alaska. Joining me for the second half of the Alaska Report are 3 students and 1 program coordinator. I'd like to welcome them, Elise and Nathan and Tracy and Matthew, who is our program coordinator here. Let me, if I can, start with you, Matthew. Tell me first what your job is. I mean, program coordinator can probably mean everything, right?
Well, probably the most interesting part of my job is kind of nurturing the exchanges. So working with both schools in urban areas and in rural areas, which means I get to do a lot of traveling to those places.
So do you travel for, like, if an area says, I'm interested, you go out there and kind of say, okay, what does this mean?
I'm kind of the advanced man sometimes, and then if for some reason a school maybe there's a curriculum, and if the school maybe is struggling to get through some of that curriculum, and we have the exchange coming up, I might come and I'm kind of like the paratrooper who comes in and maybe works with the classroom to get them to make sure that they're prepared for the exchange.
And now, how long have you been there?
Oh boy, I think
that's a long time.
I think it's been 4 years. Yeah.
And when you've traveled, would you say you've traveled to almost every part of Alaska in some form or another?
I've certainly been to every region. But there are many of the villages in the Lower Yukon, Kuskokwim that I still need to visit.
And do you find when you go out to the communities that they're really excited about doing something like
Absolutely.
this? There's not much hesitation.
If there's any hesitation, it's with hosting. And it's so interesting that it happens in both rural and urban areas, that sometimes the families are nervous. Well, we're just not sure if our home is okay and suitable for a person, to have someone come live in. And the truth is that we're here to just learn about normal folks.
That's right.
And so
heck, they're teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So they live in any environment.
Any environment.
Lisa, let me ask you, what school or what community are you from?
I'm from Nebraska.
Okay, and tell the viewers where that is in Alaska.
It's like 7 miles down from Bethel.
Down from Bethel, so in the western part of Alaska.
Yeah.
And what was the school that you got to connect to here?
I went to Fairbanks, Ben Nelson.
So Fairbanks, you went to the community of Fairbanks. Had you been to Fairbanks before?
No.
So that was your first time to Fairbanks?
Yeah.
Very good. Let me ask Nathan, where are you from?
I'm from Thorn Bay, which is on Prince of Wales Island in southeast Alaska.
And who'd you get paired up with?
I was paired up with Service High School.
Okay. And you've been to Anchorage before then, or?
Once.
Once before. So that was your second time. That was it.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Tracy, where are you from? And first I got to ask you, because I was giving you a hard time before we got on, you have, I wouldn't say a unique name, because a lot of Alaskan Native names have, they're hard for me to pronounce at times, but you have 13 letters in your last name. So pronounce your last name for me. That's a tough one. And now where are you from? What community?
I'm from Breivik Mission.
And where is that in Alaska, so people know?
North of Nome.
North of Nome. And who'd you get paired up with?
I got paired up with Anchorage West High School.
West High. Now, had you been to Anchorage at all?
Yes, I have.
So you were familiar with at least the area and the opportunities that were here?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me ask you, and I'll start with Elisa. Tell me, what was your first impression? Because you go to Fairbanks, you've never been there. Your host family met you at the airport?
Yeah.
And what was that like? What was your first impression of arriving in Fairbanks and going to the host family?
I was kind of scared, like.
A little bit scared?
Yeah.
Now, did you have any relatives or family members of that were in Fairbanks at all?
No.
No, so you were on your own with the host family. And you stayed how many days?
A week.
A week also. And did you spend then part of the day in school?
Yeah.
And then did you get a chance to go around Fairbanks and see the community?
Yeah.
Now, I have to ask this because I didn't ask this to the last panel. I've traveled a lot through rural Alaska, and you don't necessarily find a McDonald's or a Burger King, or, as we were saying, a Taco Bell and a Kentucky Fried. So did you have a chance to sample some of the fast food restaurants?
Yeah.
Now, did you bring any Alaska Native foods?
No.
No, so they didn't get a chance to sample unless they went to the village.
They went to our village.
Right, so they got a sample there.
Yeah.
Now, in the school that you were there, pretty big school?
Yeah.
And your school is about how many from where you're from?
About 100 something.
So a big change. Nathan, what was it like for you when you landed? It was your second trip to Anchorage, and what was it like for you?
It was very welcoming. I mean, we had there's a party of people there. It was midwinter, so it was very cold. We had hot chocolate.
That's right, because you're from Southeast, so you were coming north.
Yeah, it was a lot colder, but they were all very nice people. We had hot chocolate, and we got into met our host families, and went home and basically got in touch with them.
And then did you, same thing, you spent 5 days in the school,
Yep.
right? And then did you do, besides the educational part, did you do extracurricular activities, sports or anything like that with them, or things of that nature?
Yeah, some of us would go to, like, if they had a sports practice, we'd go and sport activities. But not only did we go to school, but we had areas of exploration.
Oh, so you had more work to do.
Yeah, so we would go to school for part of the day, but then the second half of the day, we'd all go and learn about parts of the community or parts of their culture. And a couple things we did, we went to the sewage treatment plant of Anchorage, which, you know, is...
I know well as a former mayor of Anchorage, so...
Yeah, it was, you know, very different, a lot larger than what we have.
Right.
But we also went to the port of Anchorage and, you know, learned some very interesting things that the city of Anchorage can only support the city with food and supplies for 7 days without a shipment coming in.
That's right. It's actually interesting, it supports about 80% of the goods throughout, other than Southeast, interesting to note, of the rest of Alaska, of all the goods. So you had not only your educational during the day, you had the exploration that was necessary as part of the program and learn kind of about the community you were in.
Yep.
And Tracy, what was it like for you when you came in? What was your experience, your first meeting the family?
They were really good. I mean, nice.
That's good. That's nice. Same thing. And did you spend the time when you got to know them? Did you go out to their home and then spend some time doing the same thing, explorations in the community, or school mostly?
We went to their home and we got settled and I met everyone, and then we had a dinner with everyone and.
With the whole family?
Yes.
Did they bring some friends or just the family at that point, just to get to know the family?
There was everyone with the exchange students from Berwick and from Anchorage and their family.
Oh, very good. Now, did you have family in Anchorage at all or any relatives? Were you on your own too?
I have family in Anchorage, but I didn't get to see them, or I didn't.
They kept you too busy.
Yeah.
They kept you very busy. And what, out of the program, what would you say was probably the most exciting part of the 5 days you were in Anchorage? Because you were at West High, right?
Yes.
Which was a very busy school, very big school.
It is very big school.
Yeah.
But I liked going to Annalise's softball practice because I didn't know how to play softball, or how do we catch or throw with a mitt.
Oh, really? Because that's part of the cultural exchange to understand the differences. What's the biggest sport in your home village?
Basketball.
Basketball. You know, I have to tell you this, I had a Chairman Janikowski, who's the chair of what they call the Federal Communications Commission, who manages all the internet, telephone for the country, and we took him up to a village, and he's a basketball player. And he was I said, the number one sport in rural Alaska is basketball. And I showed him one of the courts, which is the plywood. And he was just, because he comes from a big city down here in Lower 48 where he had never seen anything like that. And I told him, don't challenge any of the Alaska Native community in basketball because he will lose. And he was tempted for a moment there. So softball was your first experience doing that?
Yes.
Let me ask you, Matthew, what is the greatest challenge when you're getting students? I mean, Elisa talked about it was kind of her first experience, a little scared of the environment. How do you manage that for rural students who come into areas that are much larger than they're used to or ever seen?
Well, through the website and through the curriculum that leads up to the actual exchange, it's sort of like having a pen pal. So they're making videos about themselves and about their community and sharing those. And so you can see where you're going and see some of the places and get an idea of who the personalities are of your fellow ambassadors before you travel. And then I was thinking, in Tracy's case, you know, sometimes we'll have the urban students go first to the rural village so that, you know, and a good bond is formed. And there's a video of when Tracy and her team are coming out of the airport, and they made such a tight bond with your sister school ambassadors, and when they first saw each other and just running up and, you know, and just so happy to see each other again. So, you know.
So there's kind of little work ahead of time to get that each other familiar with the families and the individuals and their hosts. What for the students, again, I'll start with you, maybe Nathan, if that's okay, and that is, one, would you recommend this to folks in your community, and will you continue to be kind of that cultural ambassador that you've learned some things?
I most definitely recommend it to and all the students, both if you're coming from a rural or urban society. I think it really helps kids coming from a rural society because they're not, when they get out of school, they're going to go, and you got to go to big cities like that, and we're not really used to that kind of stuff, so it helps prepare yourself for that. And a way that I'm going to keep on being an ambassador is I'm just going to keep telling everybody I know, my community, every time I travel, I'm telling them about the experience I had. And not only that, I'm going to encourage my fellow classmates to do this.
Very good. Lisa, what would you say? Would you recommend this to students in your community, and do you think you got something out of it?
Yeah.
Yes to both? What will you do as an ambassador back in your community? How will you use this experience, do you think?
I'll probably tell everybody how fun it is.
Very good. And do you think other students in your community will want to do it after you have a conversation with them?
Probably.
Because it was fun, and you got to see the big city.
Yeah.
Tracy, what about you? What do you think you'll recommend this to others?
Yes, I would, because it was really awesome traveling to Anchorage and to Washington, D.C. It was an experience to me, and I learned a lot of new things.
Do you think in your own community, how will you try to explain this to other members, other students, as you now are an ambassador? Will you spend the time to make sure people know what it's all about?
Yeah, and I would tell them what we did and who I met, and
so kind of encourage them along.
yeah.
Well, very good. Let me say, I can't believe how quick it just went. We did our half of the show very quickly here, and I want to thank the folks that are here with me today. Elisa, Nathan, and Tracy, and Matthew, thank you for all the work you've done to be great ambassadors from rural Alaska to urban and back and forth. I'd like to thank again all the guests that have joined us, and everyone from Alaska Humanities Forum and the ROSE Urban Rural Exchange Program, who make an outstanding contribution to making Alaska a better place. Thank you for joining us at the Alaska Report. I'm Senator Mark Begich. We'll see you next time.